Okay children, listen carefully. Today we are discussing about ecosystems. What is an ecosystem? I have already told you. A group of different types of populations living in one area and their interactions with abiotic components of that area form a ecosystem. We have discussed about this topic. Okay, so now the term ecosystem is given by A.G. Tansley. Ecosystems are classification. Ecosystems are classified into aquatic ecosystems and terrestrial ecosystems. Aquatic ecosystems are divided into marine ecosystems, that is saltwater ecosystems, limnetic ecosystems, that is freshwater ecosystems, and third one is estuarine ecosystems. That means where the saltwater and freshwater meet, where saltwater, where marine and limnetic, both of them meet. That is the region called as estuarine ecosystems. We have discussed about this also in our previous sections. Terrestrial ecosystems are divided into forests, deserts, grasslands, tundras. Okay. And when we discussed about limnetic ecosystem, limnetic ecosystem is again divided into two regions, lotic ecosystem and lentic ecosystem. Lentic ecosystem is stagnant water like ponds, lakes, freshwater lakes, etc. Lotic ecosystems are those like streams, rivers, which are flowing, continuously flowing water. Okay, that is lentic and lotic ecosystems. Apart from all this, we have some man-made ecosystem also. These are natural ecosystems and man-made ecosystems. For example, aquarium, crops, fields are man-made ecosystems. Parks, zoos, artificial lakes, etc. are all man-made ecosystems. These are all man-made ecosystems. Okay. So, from aquatic ecosystems, we will discuss about pond, and from terrestrial ecosystem, we will discuss about forest. Pond first. Pond. So in this ecosystem, first we will discuss abiotic components of this ecosystem are soil, because from soil only minerals enter into that pond water which are required for the growth of that. Plants or sometimes animals require minerals, for all that source is soil only. Carbon dioxide, oxygen is required for life of both plants and animals, and water in which they are living, sunlight from which they get the source of energy, and temperature also is important for their survival. These all form the abiotic components of ecosystem. In biotic components of ecosystem, again we will discuss about producers. Producers include micro, producers, macro producers. Micro producers are those phytoplankton which have capacity to make their own food, but they are unicellular. Macro producers include algae like chara, spirogyra, and it also includes multicellular organisms, angiosperms. Angiosperms, if you remember, we have discussed about angiosperms in diversity chapter. Those flowering plants which are having seeds inside the fruit. They are not having naked seeds, they are having seeds inside the fruit. Example, for example, you can take Hydrilla, Vallisneria, water hyacinth, etc., water lily, etc. These are all included in the producers of pond ecosystem. Coming to consumers. Consumers are again divided into primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Consumers in the pond ecosystem. Consumers. Okay, coming to the consumers that are present in the pond ecosystem. Consumers are divided into primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. Primary consumers include all the zooplankton which feed on phytoplankton. Examples for them are Daphnia and copepods. Secondary consumers, those which feed on primary consumers like small insects, small fishes, and smaller organisms like, what are the other organisms that are present in consumers list? They include small crabs, lobsters, scorpions, etc. Tertiary consumers, the consumers which feed on secondary consumers are called as tertiary consumers, and these include the fishes like carps and reptiles like snakes. They feed on these small insects, small fishes. You can include some large fishes. Large fishes which feed on these small fishes are also included in this tertiary consumers list. And finally, the decomposers that are present in ponds. So, whether it is a pond ecosystem or a terrestrial ecosystem, the decomposers are usually composed of fungus as well as bacteria. The fungus and bacteria that feed on the dead organisms. They feed on dead organisms or decaying organisms that are present at the lower layers of this pond. Okay, in this way, these are the organisms which are present in the pond ecosystem. They depend on each other. Producers are depending on biotic components. Even consumers are depending upon abiotic components. So, like this, there is an interdependence between the biotic, abiotic, producers, consumers and decomposers. So, in this way, it is forming an ecosystem. Next, coming to the forest ecosystem. The second type, we are discussing about the terrestrial ecosystem, that is forest ecosystem. In forest ecosystem also, when we discuss about forest ecosystem also, what are the components that are present in forest ecosystem? Abiotic components. When we discuss about abiotic components, again all the things come into play. Soil, salts that are present in soil, temperature, sunlight, water, etc. all come into play. While coming to the biotic components of forest ecosystem are producers, consumers, and consumers. Okay, first producers. What are the producers that are present in this forest ecosystem? All trees, shrubs, herbs, even they are divided into bryophytes. We have discussed bryophytes are those plants which do not have, which have false roots and false shoots. Pteridophytes are non-flowering plants which are having true roots and true roots. It includes the flowering plants like trees, shrub, herbs. So it forms a 4-layer. Producers form 4 layers. In the lowermost layers you can find bryophyta. Just above the soil bryophyta is present. Just above that you can see herbs are present. Just above that you can see shrubs are present. Above that trees are present. So it forms a 4-layer. So if you see the entire forest, you can see them in 4 layers. Coming to the consumers that are present in the ecosystem. Consumers of forest ecosystem start from the smaller organisms which feed on plants. Consumers. So when we discuss about consumers, the primary consumers include insects, birds, small birds are also included, and small creatures like you can see butterflies also depend on plants. Sparrows also depend on plants, etc. You can write so many examples for primary consumers which directly depend on plants for their food. You can write the examples of deers, you can write the examples of bears, etc. which feed only on plants. Secondary consumer includes all those organisms which eat these like snakes, lions, tiger, wolf, etc. Tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers are those which feed on this secondary consumers like vultures. Sometimes lion and tiger also included in this. And some of the snakes are also included in this. Eagle is also included in this, etc. Next, coming to the decomposers. Decomposers of ecosystems are again bacteria and fungus only. Bacteria and fungus. So in this way, we can see that again there is an interdependency between different types of consumers, between producers and consumers, again between biotic, abiotic components in the forest ecosystem also. So that is about a very good discussion about the ecosystems, children. And next we will discuss in our next class about the food chains and food webs. Okay children, that is it for today. I hope you have followed it. If you have any doubts, you can contact me through my number, message me through WhatsApp number. Keep yourself safe, healthy, and also study well children. Bye.